All right, we're live with another Quick Tip Tuesday, each and every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Today is another insurance topic. Insurance is very, very, very important. So definitely keep that in mind. Today's topic is umbrella policy. Umbrella policy. What is an umbrella policy? I wasn't very familiar with an umbrella policy until recently. Well, not recently, maybe a couple years ago. Didn't know that. Definitely didn't know that early in my real estate career. But umbrella policy is very, very important. It's basically extra insurance that provides protection beyond your existing policies. So the more you grow within real estate, make sure you're covered. If you have more assets, more equity, you're buying different type of assets, you want to make sure they're covered. So please keep that in mind. You want to make sure you're covered in all aspects. Umbrella policy is much needed. If you want to have a real estate journey, you want to continue to buy, definitely start planning for the future. There's definitely different ways to go. There isn't a one size fits all because each person is different. So definitely keep that in mind. Each person is different. There isn't a one roadmap for everyone. Real estate is a very huge. There's definitely different angles, a different way to go. You can buy one property, you can buy multiple properties, you can partner up, you can buy LLCs. There's definitely different ways to make money within real estate, so definitely keep that in mind. But once you start to grow, you definitely want to start trying to keep your assets and protect your assets, because the more transaction you do, the more people, renters you have, the different things can happen. So you definitely want to be protected. So let's say if you have one policy, of course, talk with an insurance person, but I'm just going based off my personal experience and the conversation I had with insurance brokers. I could definitely connect you with other people that I use. I'm more than happy. I can share that knowledge. I don't mind. So once you start building more assets, you definitely want to have them covered. Each property and each other assets has its own policies, but some of those policies are capped. Remember that. So after that cap, if for whatever reason your claim is higher than that, you typically have to come out of pocket, and we don't want to lose your assets. I only have one property. Should I get an umbrella policy? Depending on other assets you have. So if you have one property and you own a lot of other assets that is not real estate, then yes. Typically the lowest umbrella policy is about, if I'm not mistaken, is 1 million. So if you have one property and let's say maybe a car that you own, but it's not much of value, then it really doesn't make sense for you to get an umbrella policy. But once your assets start to increase, then I would definitely take that into consideration. So it's case by case scenario. So if you have one property and no other assets, then it's not really worth it because there's nothing else to cover. Should I do an LLC? Yeah. So once you start growing and want to buy multiple properties, you definitely want to have them separated. You want to have them its own liability. So it's good to start separating them. And if anything happens to that specific property, if for whatever reason you have to close it down or whatever the case is, go bankrupt, your other assets aren't impacted. But you can also have an umbrella policy on top of that for other scenarios, because LLC only covers specific scenarios. So it's always good kind of to have both. So the LLC will cover like the bankruptcy part and doesn't impact your other assets. But when it comes to an umbrella policy, it can cover certain things and the LLC will not. So for instance, I had a specific scenario recently. What was it? Yes, I think it was the claim was $200,000, but it was above that amount, so the person had to come out of pocket. So if you had an umbrella policy, it would have covered the difference. So that's why it's always good to have coverage on top, just in case. If I don't own anything, should I get an umbrella policy? No. I would say you aren't ready for an umbrella policy now, so I would just put that on hold for an umbrella policy. Definitely put that on hold. So in regards to owning assets and umbrella policy is typically cheap. You'll be surprised on how much coverage you can get for a very low premium. So the minimum needed is about the minimum to start with on coverage is about $1 million. So, and that premium is very low. Top of my head, I can't really recall what it is, but I know for a fact it will be a fraction of what you're paying with your other policies because you already have coverage, and then on whatever is left, then the umbrella policy will cover, of course, so the premium is very lower. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is before you can get an umbrella policy, it requires you to have specific coverage on your other assets. So for instance, for your car, you have to have, like, I believe, full coverage, certain coverage, I believe, on collision, and I don't know the exact numbers, but definitely speak to an insurance broker. They will be able to help you. They will give you the guidelines. If you have all your insurances with that person, they would take care of you and do any updates that's needed for the other policies before you can actually get an umbrella policy. So just to recap, I want to keep this short and sweet and to the point. Once you build your assets, please, before you build your assets, please get the knowledge, speak to other people, get umbrella policy. Once you start building your assets, definitely get umbrella policy. And also an LLC as well. You want to definitely distinguish all your assets. You want to have them its own entity, its own person, liability, everything. So that's always good to mix both. You guys had some great questions today. Great, thank you so much. Of course, you're welcome. If you have any topics for me to discuss next week's Quick Tip Tuesday, please shoot me a message. If you're learning from these Quick Tip Tuesday, also I would like to have more feedback as well, how to structure these. You want these longer. This is for you. I do this once a week because I get a lot of inquiries on different topics. So if you have any questions, any interests, anything on my end that I can help within your real estate career, or how to get into real estate or grow your real estate, reach out to me, and hope you have a great rest of your day.